Hello, everyone. Kindly confirm that you can hear me.
Hi, Toby. Can you hear me? This is Abdul.
Yes, I can hear you, Abdul.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me just adjust the screen so we can all come up. Yeah. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Abdul. I hope you've had a good week, not a crazy one like mine.
Yeah, the week was all right. It was okay. And
Mine has been crazy, different things.
but
So,
I'm sure
what?
above all, it was productive. Yeah.
Yeah, productive. Yeah. We are
Exactly.
very
Um,
productive.
that's
That's
what
what
matters, man.
That's what
That's what
matters,
matters.
yes.
Yeah.
Despite the hiccups, it was
I know.
productive.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. It's easy to complain when we forget the goods that we also benefit from. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, we will really benefit from having more in the panel. If you're in the audience and you would like to join this discussion, feel free to let us know on the chat, and you might be able to get a slot from the little slots we have. Okay, great. What's the topic today? We're discussing the sensitive topic of DNA and its impacts. So, when we talk about DNA, we're talking about it from the angle of paternity fraud. So, that's what we're discussing. It's quite a sensitive topic. I think we are getting to the point where we are beginning to be ready for the sensitive topics. We needed to give ourselves some time. We are getting there. So, today we'll talk about paternity fraud in relationship to DNA. At the moment, we have myself. Some of you will know me, Terry. If you like following us a lot, then you will know me. And then we have Abdul. Is a very strong supporter of the program, and we are always happy to have him here.
Uh,
Um,
Thank you, Tommy. It's always a pleasure joining the podcast here.
yes, and looks like I will have another Terry joining. I don't know which Terry is this. When we see your video, we know who. Um, which is nice. So just to remind us, as a group, we need your support. We bring message that is very important to the public. We discuss topics that can change lives, but we can't reach the audience we need without your support. How can you support us? Like what we do, participate in our lives, give us your suggestions, forward our lives. Very important. And most important, which is one thing that a lot of people forget, is to just click the subscribe or follow button. You can follow us or subscribe to us on our various platforms, including YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. I always seem to forget one. Um,
Facebook.
follow us. Facebook. Yeah, Facebook. Follow us. That's where you will support us. We want to get there. We want to get to the point where people will be asking or paying to want to join the show. So we want to get to that point. But for now, please give us your support. The time is very little. We now have Tunde with us, so I think we should kickstart.
It looks like
Mm.
it's gone off. Yeah.
Yeah. He's gonna have some network issues. He told me already. No Nigeria now. So network and battery issues. Yeah. So anyway, let's move on. We start with introduction. What do we understand by the term DNA? And how is it helpful in settling paternity of a child? Abdul, I will be a bit expert in it because of my medical knowledge, but I believe everyone can have a good idea. So I want us to talk at the level of the market woman, that she can understand what we mean by DNA, because it's still a concept that is strange to some people. So Abdul, let's hear you. Meanwhile, Tunde, welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes, we can hear you. Hi, hi today.
Good evening.
Dr. Toby, I think I would rather prefer you start by telling us the definition of DNA because everybody is DNA, DNA, DNA. If you ask most people who talk about DNA, what's the full meaning of DNA? It's a very it's not common. People really don't even know the full meaning of DNA. I know it's something deoxyribonucleic acid. So you are beginning to wonder why is it anybody will just see DNA text for paternity test? So where's the bronaric acid coming from? So
okay.
please, would you just open the floor by telling us the medical term, what the full meaning of DNA is, and basically what is used for? Because generally we just assume it's only used for to to check paternity fraud basically, but there are other basic use of DNA that have come to research. You also use it to check family history. We've had people who have said, okay, that they've lost their families in Nigeria, Africa, and they've come to trace. So how do they get to know which family they are from? Is via DNA. Some parents have gone missing and had siblings. Some people have siblings everywhere and there. So how do you get to know that you are from the same lineage, you are from the same parent? It's through DNA. So when people just DNA test, paternity fraud, and all that. So Dr. Toby, could you just tell us the full meaning of the DNA and where the acid? Because I was shocked the day I got to know that there's the acid. Where's the acid coming from? I just wonder what that is. You know what I mean? Yeah. Are you there, Toby?
Dr. Tomi, are
Yeah.
you frozen?
If you hear me, because I think
Okay.
can you hear
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
me? Yes, hear me.
We
Yes,
can
I
hear
can
you. We
hear
can
you.
hear you. Go ahead. We
Hello.
can hear you.
Okay, I don't know.
We
My
can hear
my
you.
system is
Yes.
just
Yes,
playing
Terry.
up. The screen is frozen, but I can hear
Okay.
you guys. So let me go ahead with the question. Yes, it's good that you brought this up because DNA is not just about paternity and paternity fraud. DNA is a whole concept, and I will try to go as basic as possible. So let's put it this way: almost every living organism, I can't talk about the very tiny organism, but almost every living organism is made up of tiny, tiny building blocks that makes them up. If you can think of billions of or trillions of small cells that makes you up. Now, for you to become who you, or for any organism to become what it is, the body has to, you know, bring in a lot of ingredients, add them together to make you up. For this to happen at the micro level, there is something called the DNA, which contains all the information that can be read by the body and used to make that organism. Right to your eyes, your lips, your hand, your fingers, everything about you as an organism can be traced right down to the information that is found in the DNA. So this is useful in even discovering people who might have diseases that run in a family or have an increased risk of certain diseases. So it has many uses. Sometimes the DNA can be tweaked in such a way that we can and scientists can produce a particular desirous trait in organisms. So how does this relate to our topic? Because every individual has a our DNA as humans might be very similar in a lot of ways, but there's always this little percentage that makes me Terry, makes you Abdul, makes you Tunde, and somehow these can be traced to your to your lineage. So it's possible for them to read your DNA and predict with reasonable certainty that A is your mother biologically, or B is your father biologically, with almost 99% certainty. So that is where it has become useful as a tool for for discovering paternity fraud. This is the most basic way I can go about it, just for people to understand. DNA is something bigger than paternity fraud, but it just happens that very useful for it. So Abdul, did I make any sense? Or I'm just
Yes, I believe the other discussants too would agree with me that you were able to break it down and it made a whole lot of sense. It's also good, that people get to know that other advantages and positive usage of DNA. It's not just the paternity fraud that is widely known and about the DNA. There are other positive and engaging and uses of the DNA. So it was well explained, Terry. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. So over to you, Terry.
okay. I was just deputizing for Tunde, who will be our great host today. So Tunde, take over. I just did a brief introduction. Time is running. I tried to just explain what DNA is. So take over, please.
Anyway, we are freestyling. I hope you can all hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you well.
So okay, so um, there's no there's no scripts for tonight's show. We're just bringing on our experiences. But something I was trying to do a little research before this show, and something shocking. I read something shocking online. Yes, like Abdul was trying to reiterate that it's not based on your explanations, that it's not just about paternity fraud, that the DNA is used to, that the DNA has helped us um, in 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 our nation. But um, we all agree that the major what has popularized DNA is this issue of paternity fraud. And so I read something online that talked about they was try to they published a survey about the highest paternity fraud in the world. Shockingly, Nigeria happens to be number two after Jamaica. Yeah, after Jamaica. I can't really recall. It's on my phone. I was reading from Vanguard. Yeah. So I think it was we were 37 or 27, something like that, percent higher than every other country. Why Jamaica, that was the first, is just 4% higher than us. So we're very close to Jamaica. So what am I trying? What am I trying to point out here is the fact that paternity fraud is very, very prevalent and very high in Nigeria. And DNA is one tool that has helped to discover this fraud. Our ladies are not on the show tonight. I think we would have needed a balanced discussion if we had them and even a lawyer tonight. But anyway, from what we have seen online in recent times, um, we can understand that things have changed. Maybe I should start with Abdul. Um, do you think that there are more, based on what I just said now about the high rate of paternity fraud in the country, do you feel that um, our, the 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 embracing of the Western culture has contributed, or what do you think can be adduced to this sudden uh, norm now in our society? I'm sure if you could help us, just your own idea on that.
Okay. Thank you, Tunde. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, loud and clear.
maybe before I I respond to that, yeah, I would. I'm not sure where you got that your statistics from, but I think I would want to argue that it can't be possible that we are next to Jamaica. There are other countries I know for sure. Maybe you need to reconfirm that your statistics very well, because basically,
But do you agree that it's that Jamaica is number one?
no. No, it's not Jamaica. From what I have also researched, it's not Jamaica. But basically, this because why we can't even be on number two? When did we start engaging in this DNA test? But these other countries have always been there. They have the numbers, they have the statistics, but we don't even. In fact, most people that get to even discover they are not the father, it doesn't really come out to the. There's no record of that in Nigeria, so I'm
Okay,
not sure
sorry,
where that
sorry.
statistics come from. Yeah.
The where I read that was from Vanguard 2021. I don't know if there's a recent survey after that, but as at 2021, yes, there are other online papers that carried it, but I read it from Vanguard 2021.
Well, I can tell you for sure that some of this news we get on Vanguard are actually news from the blogs or these people that just want to sell quick.
Information.
Yeah, just want to sell people to just uh, go in and they get paid for people reading up. But that statistics, I sincerely doubt it for sure. Yeah, but
I
um,
like that. I like the fact you are rooting for our women.
no, for real, I
We
would
have
doubt
good
it. I
women
can assure you that countries like the United States have a whole lot of paternity fraud than
than
Nigeria.
Nigeria.
So I won't accept Vanguard coming to say Nigeria is second. So responding to your question, I would say that this issue is just fortunate that now because of so many technology and people's knowledge about this DNA is now coming up to light. I could say that it has always been there back from the days of our forefathers. It's the same thing that has been happening there. Something that happened then that is still happening now. I recall there's this the gist we had growing up. I'm not sure how true it is that a certain tribe we even use their wives to do welcome guests for some visitors. I don't know how true that is, but we know a certain tribe from one of these North Central states. We had it, but I don't know how true it is. I'm sure you also had it. So if that was happening then how come they were not talking about paternity fraud then? Because they were not it wasn't they don't just know about it, so it's not like it's something new. It's something that has been in existence. Yeah, so I won't say it's something new. Yeah, uh, I hope I answered your question. Yeah, did I?
You are trying to just dispute what my claims from the online paper. I think I asked that. In your own opinion, what is those factors that has led to whether you like it or yes, the fact is paternity fraud from in presently is higher than what it used to be. You mentioned something now, just as you are talking about a tribe in Nigeria that the wicked they use their wife to entertain visitors. There are still some tribe in I think in the south. Let me even be specific. Edo now, for instance, I hear there's some part of Edo that if a woman uh, sleeps with another man that is not the husband will die. Innocent, can you shed more light on that? Right? Am I on point? So those were now. What I'm trying to establish is that in those days there were many uh, laws, many native laws that tried to help to prohibit uh, some level of what do you call it, indiscipline between spouses. You understand? So there are consequences. Either it is crude method, they use jazz, whatever way, but it works because well, we do not have a way of finding out if there were more paternity from then than now. I want to believe that it is more prevalent than now. So my question was, what do you think are the reasons why there is upsurge in paternity fraud? That was the question I was asking.
It's because we have more testing now. People are beginning to embrace the fact that
Okay.
they go for DNA before. Now, but before then, once a child is giving birth to, everybody just go and celebrate. Yes, my wife has given birth, and we all move on with our lives now. And you all should also know that uh, I think the cost of DNA then was used to be very expensive. Hello.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
We
go
can
on.
hear you.
Okay,
We
I
just
suddenly. Oh, okay. So I suddenly
don't
thought
worry.
that I was the only one on the
Yeah, don't
show.
worry. Don't
Just to be
worry.
sure. Then I
We
didn't
all
want you
talking.
guys. Yeah. So basically, because there are more testing being done now. There's more awareness about the whole process. People don't go for testing, so we probably would assume that it's more prevalent now. If we had no, I'm sure during the days of our fathers and our forefathers, they were not. It wasn't common, so we can't really say, in my own opinion, that it is more that the paternity fraud is more now than it was before. But I could only say that people are aware of the testing now. People now do a whole lot of tests. We've had cases, or I've heard cases of where somebody said his wife gave birth, and he just secretly, while she was still in the hospital, went to do the test and found out that the child is not his own. So I don't know. People are saying yes, it's better to do paternity test than to do naming ceremony first. So I don't think, So basically, I think the awareness is more now. That's why we see that it is more. I won't really say that the fraud is more prevalent now. It has, in my opinion, that has always been there. That has always. So it's not about maybe our ladies are more maybe they are more exposed there, and that's why they are picking up these cultures from wherever they are getting it from. No, I won't agree to that. It has always been there, but the awareness and the information is out now, so people are testing. We are getting more documentation of the test being done. So basically, that's why we see that it looks like it's prevalent now than it was before. Before, testing were not really done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Innocent, your thoughts on this?
Yeah. Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. You are. Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, I wanted. Let me just start from the first question you asked me, and starting from there, you will realize that in those days, women have fear. Yes, women have fear. Women do not just go out there and do whatever they like, which is very common today. Those days, for instance, in my place, I am from Isha. In my place, particularly, if you are a married woman and you go outside to sleep with another man, I don't know how they do it, but spiritually, something will just be happening to the family. The children of the woman will be dying, one after the other, and they will begin to tell the woman, say the truth before they finish, and that's it. So before you know, the woman will come out and confess, and she'll have to do maybe one or two sacrifices in order to free herself and all that. But I think after a while, just recently, they changed the law. They said it's the woman that will be dying instead of the children. So if a woman goes out, what we see these days, if a woman goes out, those who believe in their custom, it affects them still. If a woman goes out, you see the woman fall sick mysteriously and die. But for the man, there was nothing like that because a man is allowed to marry more than one woman. So there was nothing like that. A man can even have concubines. But a woman was not allowed to do that, which we do not have. There is no law guarding people today. People have extramarital sex, people go out, people have relationships, and They just have sex just because they're in a relationship. They're not even married. So not to talk of married people. Married people go out to have sex with other people, and nobody is really talking about it. Now, I looked at the statistics we were talking about. The statistics is based on the testing. So I think in Nigeria and in Jamaica, which the two of them are competing. One is first, the other one is second. It depends on the year you are looking at. But it's very prevalent in Nigeria today because the testing has become quite cheaper, and people have access to quickly do the testing. And so we see it revealing. And we also see our women showing off themselves. Like this afternoon, I saw a video of three women discussing about it. And they were saying something like, the man shouldn't worry about that. It shouldn't be a problem. How can that not be a problem? Have you thought of the emotional effects it can have on the man? Like, just imagine I have a child. Like now I have a child that is about 4 to going to 5 years old. And now tomorrow I wake up and that child is no longer mine. This is a child that I work hard to take care of. A child that I do everything. Like sometimes some men live their life just for their children. You just want to make money because of this child. Like you can hear some things like I was watching an interview of Mike Tyson who was going to fight tomorrow. He was asked why he wants to go to the ring, and he said for his children. So just imagine such a man. You not tell that a man that this child is not your own. How will he feel? How damaging can that be? So it's a very wrong thing. I was also looking at the law, like what can a man do when it happens that way. I realized that the man can actually do one of two things. He can take some civil actions in order to stay away from the child, not be the one responsible for the child anymore. He can also make the woman pay for damages, in the court. So that's it. That's my own contribution. It's a very bad thing. It's not a good one. It's not something we should entertain.
Thank you very much. Now, this my next question will come to Mars. Mars, confirm that you can hear me. Can you
I
hear
can
me?
hear you. Yeah.
Okay, so fantastic. In your own opinion, the society seems to be very patriarchal, favors men. Do you consider or do you think that for that DNA testing should be recommended for couples? People have come out, just like Abdul said while he was talking, that people should consider doing DNA when a child is born before naming ceremony, or yes, I should be more. They should consider that before naming ceremony. Do you think, for the purposes of trust, that is one of the pillars that holds marriage? Do you think that it is fair on the female gender to say that after giving birth to a child, that you subject the child to DNA testing? What's your own take on all of this?
I'd say it's a matter of trust. Depending on who is in the relationship between the spouses, whoever is in that relationship, it boils down to the trust and maybe patterns. Perhaps maybe you've noticed that that woman you're dating has been consistently suspicious in her ways. Maybe you've not really put a finger to catch her cheating or anything, but you suspect. And then when she's pregnant, you want to be sure. And this is where trust comes in. Now, is it fair? I would say, if I was in a man's shoes, I think it's fair. I'm not just going to think from a woman's perspective only, because as a woman, if I think only from my perspective, I'm going to be very biased. So I'll put myself in a man's shoes. Would I want to be cheated? Would I want to be cheated in the sense that I'm raising a child that is not my own? Is that what I bargained for? It's one thing to know and say, yes, okay, it was a mistake. I forgive. I'm going to carry on. The child is mine. I'll carry on. But that I didn't know. And then some people, they are serial offenders. They do it once. They do it second time. They do it third time. Once is sorry, but second time is not sorry anymore. It's actually foolish, being foolish and being, maybe even not just foolish, but actually being wicked. Because why would you do that to someone that trusts you and you're telling the person it's a scam? It's actually it's fraud. That's
That's
fraud.
why it's
That's
called
a
fraud.
scam. Yeah. So I would say it's not a fair thing for a man to be subjected to that kind of behavior, to that kind of result. He's actually gone in there, done all the action of pumping and doing all the, it's not an easy thing to go and lie with a woman. And after the baby comes out and it's not your own, that means the woman has been playing away match and you didn't know, and you are there warming up. Only God knows how many bottle of maltonic the person has drank, been taking tablet to warm up, to become agile, thinking like it's his own, it's his offspring that is coming forth. Only, back in the days, if it was measured, there was a metric to do it, because now we have DNA tests to do it. I don't think they had the DNA. We had the DNA test readily available back in Africa for people to do the test. I guarantee you, if they have been doing it, even in our own generation, most of the children were not raised by their fathers, their biological fathers. It was prevalent, but people didn't know. And you'll be shocked to know that some of these things happened within families. The culprit, the person sleeping with them is not far, is their neighbor, or even is their father's brother or their uncle. It was not far. I'm telling you. And again, when it comes to, there are different types. Now, DNA might not be able to detect it very well when it's the father's brother that is. What if it's a blood relative that is doing it? The DNA will show very high, relation rates. So it's hard to even know that this person is cheating. It's hard to know that the child is not your own. I would say it boils down to trust. And trust in the sense that there must have been a track record for you to be suspected, and that you are being asked to go for that you should produce DNA test. Automatically, there must be a foundation problem in that relationship. And again, if you have a child, this is another thing. If you have a child that is maybe you are a Caucasian couple, and your child comes out with with traces of being a black child, of course it's going to raise alarm bells, and vice versa. If you are a black woman and your husband is a black man, and your child comes out not with the albino symptoms, but looking very mixed race, I think you have some explanation to do. You have some serious explaining to do. So again, these are the things where I think on my own, without even being asked, my children are having their DNA just to avoid stories that touch. Do you understand me?
Yeah, fantastic.
And it's not being, I'm trying to be unbiased because I'm putting myself in the shoes of the men as well. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, in addition to that,
Sorry,
okay,
just to correct something you said. I never
okay,
said DNA should be done before naming ceremony. I said I read of a case that DNA was done, that the guy did DNA before naming ceremony. You get what I'm saying?
okay.
Yeah.
I was only making reference to that statement.
Okay, or
Yes,
before
before they quote you, Abi.
I might not get dinner tonight if the get to hear that statement. You know what I mean?
Disclaimer. Okay, I get you. Anyway, in addition to what Mars was, well, so from all indications, Mars seemed to approve of DNA testing. You know why me? I also support this, and it is a fact that um, most times there are, especially in these times that we are in now, where immorality seems to be the norm now. So even the issue of trust, it is difficult to even define trust now. Who you are about to get married to, how well do you know this person to trust that person? You know why I say this? Because in these days and times where people do testing, you know, the Christian religion, the Muslim religion helped that most people practiced, or our culture was very rich then, where they believed that before there should be no sex before marriage. Those ideologies now kind of is being eroded these days by the new mentality of you testing the man to know that this man is can can do the job very well. So by the time you test this, well, let me put a caveat to this show. To this tonight's show seems to be 18 plus. So if our viewers, if you are less than 18, maybe you should just log off from the show you are currently watching. So back to what I was saying. Um, these days are time where people do use they use style to practice immorality in the name of trying to see if they are compatible sexually with their spouse to be. They begin that helps that makes brings the issue of different exes. They have this, they tested this person, this one is not compatible with me. Now I have about 5x or 3x before marriage. Now on the day of marriage, the bachelor eve and all of those things. Some people still do it. They want to bid goodbye and farewell to their exes, settle some scores. And so by the time they go back, doing all of this is when they meet with the last ex who was very wonderful, but maybe one or two things did not allow them to get married. They meet this person on Wednesday and do all the final goodbye match on Wednesday or on Thursday. Friday is their engagement. They now come to the main man. Saturday he's married. And that marriage, on that married that day they got married. On that wedding night, because the the marriage is consummated. Now the woman gets pregnant. Maybe the first person he met, the previous ex that he met on Thursday, was the person that scored the goal, and he met this man. Of course, at that point in time, even she may be confused. She may just naturally feel that it was the baby belongs to the husband. So that's why, because of what is prevalent in the society, that's why DNA is very, very important. That is one. Secondly, I also feel that I don't know if it's still common. Maybe Dr. Tumi will tell, but I know that over time we have heard cases of baby swapping in the hospitals. So where they swap a child of Mr. H, Mr. B, and he, there's a law that wherever a child that is born in wedlock and the husband and the father of that child acknowledges that this child is mine, the child, the paternity cannot be questioned so long the father has acknowledged that the child belongs to him. So, but if there is a law in place that um, the DNA of the child should be checked, irrespective of whether there are doubts or not, I think some of these gray areas, even where the woman is not even sure that the child it belongs to the man, sometimes the woman might not even know that that child does not belong to the husband. So, but
Sorry, can I just say, put something out there?
okay.
It might also, we might want to put a caveat here also with reference to IVF babies, because we do know some IVF babies are not coming from, especially if the male is the person who has the weak sperms. So it will be someone else's sperm that will be used. So that in that case, you don't expect the child to be, when you're testing the this to be that person's
Is that
DNA.
is that how it
So
works? You use someone else's sperm?
I said in some cases, as if
Okay.
the male is the person that has the low sperm count and can't impregnate. I think doctor's hand is up.
Okay, please, doctor, clarify on that. I used to feel I used to feel that IVF is just to aid the weak sperm of the man by doing artificial scientific whatever manipulations, so that they can pass on the sperm to the woman. So, but if you are using another person's semen or sperm, then I don't think the issue of what you are saying tonight works against that family.
Okay, let me just come in here just to briefly clarify something. So, in the aspect of IVF and DNA, so the reason for doing IVF can be varied, and we never can know except we are with the patients, in this case the parents and the doctors. So, but I need to clarify something, that it's in very few cases that that the family will need sperm donors because of advanced technology with IVF now, whereby even for low sperm count, in fact, there are some technologies now whereby they are looking for just one good spermatozoa. So it's in very rare cases that the man is going to be the issue in terms of providing sperm, semen. But it happens. There's what they call azoospermia, where the man has no single spermatozoa, but that is very rare. I have to specify that. And why I need to specify this is because I keep seeing in the society where people will say the man went to look for another, or agreed for the woman to go and look for a man to sleep with her. And some of these things are from very rich people. So lack of knowledge is very bad. It has to be.
Sorry, doctor.
I'm
You
coming.
say that, but technology has not reached some extent in some places in Africa.
No, I am
So
talking of in Nigeria. So there's what
yes,
they
so in
call
Nigeria
ICSI.
there,
There's what they call ICSI, which is very available in Nigeria.
to the layman, to the village, someone in the village, to someone who lives in a rural area, is it available?
No, we're talking for anybody going.
Someone who
No,
lives in the rural area will not even consider the option of IVF.
yeah, so I'm saying for
So
somebody to be
no,
going
sorry, because you
for
mentioned that
IVF.
the man said the man, because I know families that this is real life. We're talking of real life situations where the man was not able to, he's had that situation, that condition, and they agreed with someone in the neighborhood that the woman should sleep with the person so that she can have the child.
Maz, I'm saying this now that a lot of time is lack of knowledge. I'm saying that it's lack of knowledge. For you to be even talking of IVF, that means you are a bit exposed enough to go to the doctor.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
You're not
I'm
getting it. You're
no,
not getting my point.
What's
They
your
are
point
exposed.
exactly
They
now?
know that. I don't think you're getting my point. Exposure doesn't equal to the funds available. IVA is expensive.
okay, then that's different. So not having the
So that's
money.
why they've gone through that procedure.
Yeah, I'm actually talking. That's why I mentioned men
Uh,
who even are rich.
But
I
for somebody
mentioned
to go through that procedure, the person will not be calling for DNA test now.
no. We're
So,
just
for
clarifying.
That
somebody
is it.
to go through, so
Yes.
No,
we are
Abdul, wait.
discussing the paternity fraud, yeah.
No, I know.
So
I just using the opportunity to clarify some things. There are some nice points. When Mars brought it up, I just want to quickly clarify some things, please. It's very important. So, just to educate people that a lot of times, even I've seen where doctors tell the patient that the man's sperm is too small, and then they now start looking for alternative. They don't even explore treating it. You understand what I'm trying to say? Then, in terms of donor, sometimes women also get donor eggs, and sometimes men also get donor. So it's almost equal, if not even more, for the women. And so um DNA might be discordant in such cases, which I acknowledge. However, when we go back to exchange in the hospital, which is swap, as Tunde called it, just to talk briefly about it. If a woman is quite sure, 100% sure that this child is my child, the problem with women is that they lie too much. They are saying, no, sorry, they can, if they decide that they don't want to say the truth, I'm sorry, if they decide they don't want to say the truth, it's very difficult to. If you watch these paternity stuffs, and you will see the woman swearing. In fact, you're already angry with the man, and then when the results come out, they will say, unfortunately, you are not the father. And then the
Can I
other one will
correct
say,
something
I'm,
there?
I'm coming, Maz. I know your concern, which is the generalization. women. I tried to correct myself. I said that when they decide to keep the truth, you can't tell.
So even men too, when they decide, it's not gender, it's gender.
Okay,
Everyone
okay,
has
okay. But
that from them. It's
someone
not
is
just
better
women.
than some.
There are men that will lie even to their grave. It's on the burial you find the
Who is
twins, all
better? Who
wives.
is better?
All,
Who is better? Who is
Who's better
better?
in doing it?
it's not just men. It's not just women. We
No,
all have
no,
some
both will do it, but
characteristics.
who is a better actor in this emotion? In fact, they will come with cry, emotions, and everything.
We have
And
emotions. God gave it to us.
And
yeah,
that's what
that's
we are
what I'm
saying now.
saying.
He's helping
But that
you
doesn't mean
to
that we are
conceal the
lying.
truth.
No,
To,
that's just to say you have a better advantage in pushing
This
whatever you want to
difficult.
say. So now let me go back so that we don't deviate. So if a woman is so sure that I didn't do anything, this is my child, and then there is a discordance in the paternity, and the test says the man or the father is not the biological father, then there is an option, just to let us know, which is to now do DNA, maternal DNA. So that is what we prove that this child is not from the mother. So let me explain. The child is born and it was swapped. It used to happen before more, but I think it's
okay,
less
okay,
common now.
okay. I
So that
get you now.
child is neither DNA related to the father or the mother. So that's how they will be able to solve that. So it's very easy to solve. If as a woman you are very sure, then that is an
That you did
option.
not play away match.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
That
So
one is
I just needed to bring this up because this is an education session and every
eh,
little thing can help. And another thing again is that in very rare situations, extreme situations, and I don't want to go into the biology of it, it can actually be a case where DNA is not discordant, but it's actually the father or the mother. But it's very rare and usually not considered, and that's why they always put that 0.0001%, because science is never 100% accurate. So there's always a chance. So just to let us know.
okay. Please,
And
there's
again, if
something.
sorry to butt in, and also if it's identical twins, and the woman has been doesn't know that this is a, you can't find out that one. If you like, go to universe and maybe in 50-50, that's when you find out. But you can't find out that one because identical twins, they carry the same words,
Jane.
DNA.
Mm.
So, and again, there's something again, doctor. I think you can talk more about it later on. There's sometimes I think you've touched a bit, but where there was a book I read on it that it's kind of like the man, the child, the DNA might look like it's not his own, but it's actually, it might look like it's his uncle's own or his, yeah, I don't know, but it's because we carry a lot of DNA. Basically is genetics from different people that you've come from the generation ancestors, like you carry them with you. So there are different nodes around our body. So some women have suffered this. They say the child doesn't look like us, but actually it's the uncle. Why are we dark and your own child is fair? It might be, or why are we all fair and your own child is dark? It might be relative. It has just, yeah, but it's not that she slept with him. It's just something that is coming down.
Let me just
I,
also
I, I
add,
thought I thought they said I
um,
thought they said, sorry, Abdul, you come now. I thought they said DNA is a child's DNA is like half of the mother and half the father. So if there are variances that maybe the child is picking some part of genetic information from the um, family of the father, for instance, or family of the mother, the I don't know, maybe doctor, like you said, maybe the doctor will be able to explain better. I think those things that will be discussed, those genetic this is from the families will be small compared to that of the parents, the father and the mother. What I'm saying, does it make sense? Do you understand what I'm trying to establish?
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to say, but I
let
think
me
we're beginning to go a bit advanced. The truth is that for now, DNA technology is so advanced that it is very possible to almost tell you that this is the father. So 99 points something 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 percent. So when you say something is 99 point something something percent, that is technically we just assume this is the father. So but what people are actually looking forward, which will bring me back to your previous question about doing it as a routine test after delivery, is, technology advances. There was a time when malaria tests used to be one thing that they would bring chemicals, they would start looking under the microscope, and then over time it became just a strip, is it also became cheaper. So in that point, the more DNA technology becomes cheaper and available, let's say we even have to the point where you can even do it as a kind of like pregnancy test. We don't know, but nothing is impossible with technology. Then the more it will be welcomed as a routine test post delivery, because the truth is that one of the factors that will mitigate against your decision is cost. It's still an expensive test that needs to be justified. I will drop now, but one question I want to ask us, I know Abdul wants to say something, but one question I want to ask us, which we can talk about later, is what do we think about that Peking resemble in Papa? Is that enough? But that will be later. So Abdul, please, over to you.
Okay, I think let me first clarify what Tunde was. You didn't quite understand today's question, and let me just explain to him here. When DNA test is being done, you are testing only the on the father side or the on the man. So the test is to check if the man is a biological father. You are talking about the child picking. Yes, children pick all genes from all sides, but which gene are you testing at a particular time? You are testing in the matching with a particular person. Is it matching with this person?
Person.
And that's
Okay.
the
It's
hair.
all
So I
random.
think that's
Okay.
the hair. Yes. Okay. So a question I wanted to throw to Doctor. I don't know how true it is. Sometimes we see a lot of stuff on social media. Now is that somebody has had twins,
Yeah, that was the
and
next question I was about to ask.
according to using the mass words of pumping, two people pumped. Now, is it possible that the twins could belong to two different fathers? Is there a possibility at that? Yeah, I will leave you to answer that question. But before you answer that question, let me also maybe say something in support of Mars and the women folks. And I'm going to ask a rhetorical question. Yeah, the DNA fraud were all about the women because she's probably the receiving part. She's gone to probably slept with somebody else and not sure where the father is. But if we are to say that the men, the men folk, if they are to test and the fact that they've probably how do I put this now? Do they sleep with have they slept with somebody else before coming to sleep with their wives? If there's a test for that, will the child they've given to their wife be their wife? I don't know how to put this there, but I'm just trying to say that we shouldn't hit hard on the women folk. Just unfortunately, they are the ones that receive they are the ones that receive the semen that gets them pregnant. But if the semen that you are depositing into the woman has not gone into somebody else, if that can be tested, I'm sure a lot of men will fail that test as well. So back to the question on the twins. Is it possible that you can have a twins and one will they do paternity test, one is not for the father, one is the father, and the other one is for another person? Thank you, doctor.
Oh yeah, Abdul, thank you so much. Nice question. This is one of those very, very rare. As in, these are the kind of things that happen and they go into the medical journals and people read about them and talk about them. I'll give you a similar example of a lady, just to tell you how rare it is, of a lady who got pregnant by swallowing the sperm of a man. So she swallowed the sperm, and that same day she was stabbed, and the sperm traveled through the exposed gut and got her pregnant. So that's how you can imagine this. This is how rare this kind of things you're talking about is. So they happen. Why? Let me explain. The way the woman's body biologically is in such a way that at birth, women already have their eggs. Like the total number of eggs for their lifetime is already in their ovaries. It's not like a man who has a manufacturing house that manufactures the spermatozoa, as long as you're eating well, so it keeps manufacturing. So, but for the woman, they have their eggs there, and that's why things like radiology injury and all that can just make a woman infertile. So now, from puberty, the menstrual cycle is designed in such a way that every month they lose a number of these eggs, but nature has made it in such a way that one of these eggs should get to the point that it's released and able to get fertile. So that is that period they call the ovulation period, when there's very high risk of getting pregnant. So you expect a woman on the average to release one good egg. So every month she releases, maybe, I don't have the numbers now, but let's just give an example, let's say 30 eggs, but most of them are small, tiny, they are not able to do anything. But there's this one among them that will grow so big and is ready to be a human if a sperm comes in. So, however, even for every woman, if you study their cycle very well, there are some months they will not release egg. In fact, generally, a woman can have an ovulatory cycle every year or one every 2 years where they don't release egg. There are sometimes a woman might even release egg twice in a month. It's rare, but it can happen. So, in such a situation, you could have a situation whereby one egg has passed, got fertile. The next egg is supposed to come next month, but another one started coming in the back. And then you now have two fertile humans growing in the womb. As I described, it's possible, but very rare. I try to describe things to the extent I feel a market woman should understand, but it's possible, but very rare. It's not something that we should use as an excuse, but it can happen.
Can I also add to that? Apart from that scenario you've given, there's also another scenario, because I watched this woman's live video as well. She's pregnant and she's got 2 vaginas and 2 uterus. So yes, and again, it's very rare. I think that it says about 1% of women that have it, that would have that condition. She's got 2 vaginas and 2 uterus. And
All
some
right.
people are susceptible to kidney failures. So it's called uterus didelphys. Yeah. So these things do happen. And you asked a question about how do we feel about this speaking rambling papa. Not all children look like their parent, like their father or mother. As I said, some of them might look like some of us look like our grandfather. Some of us look like our aunties or our uncles. It's a very risky situation to be in. You bump picking, we can't resemble your neighbor or postman. Like, oh no.
Or your landlord. Or your
You
landlord.
explain tire.
Or your landlord.
Just to add something to that, I think these programs that begin to show about paternity and DNA fraud now begin to expose people. So if you watch some of them, you will see where the man is saying, "This child resemble me." In fact, you as the viewer, you are even convinced. They will show the nose, the eyes, wow, and then when they announce the test, they'll say there's no relationship. So using
That you resemble, that a child resembles you, does not mean that you are the father of the child.
so using resemblance is quite very risky. It's a good reassurance for the man, but it's very risky. Just
Anyway,
to add that.
time is always the issue. No matter how interesting the show is, our 1 hour mark is always a problem. Um, but I'm going to ask this question for every one of us to make our own, to weigh in on our own thoughts on it. Let's paint a scenario. You have a couple where a child a child in that home does not belong to the father. Now, the owner of the child um, got to know some, maybe the child is about 5 years old. Um, the owner of the child got to know when the child marks the 5th year, we connected back to the mother, and somehow, the mother of that child um, maybe by mistakenly told the owner of the owner of the child that this actually is your child, not my husband's. Now, or let me use 10 years or so that you see how painful it is for the person who has been nursing a child that does not belong to him. You know that the fact is, if man, there are laws in let me Nigeria, especially in another part of the country, that allows for, if a child is born in wedlock, that I was trying to establish in the beginning of the show. If a child is born within in wedlock, if the father of that child, if the husband decides that, acknowledges that this child is mine, the law agrees that that child is for the man, except where he raises concern that I don't think that this child and DNA testing will come up. Now, but if a third party now comes to question the paternity of that child, and in the eyes of the law, the child has conceived to a, a conceived in wedlock belongs the to the father of to the man in that marriage. My question now is it ethical to use DNA to identify family relationships? Is it ethical? Is it an ethical thing?
The
Is
question
it
was too
just
long-winded. I got lost.
is it not just okay? Is it just okay for you to just say because this man has been nursing this child, say let's say for the past 10 years, for the past 15 years, for you to just now use DNA as a yardstick to determine the father, is that an ethical behavior? Is it ethical to use DNA to identify family relationships?
So there are a lot of factors that will drive this question. First is who is that third party? Is that the father, the person, is that person claiming that he's a biological father?
Yes, the person is claiming to be the biological father.
So in that case, there need to be like a question asked to the mother. Do you know this man? Is that actually a relationship that was happening that could have come about this child? And if the woman says yes, then the court might mandate that we need to do now the father now who has been taking care of this child. I think it depends on the law of the land, but I think the law of the land might will ask him. They won't force him because he has been the father and his name is on that certificate as a child's father. So
Okay,
really,
in the event that that child is already
the
18,
only reason why they should be doing that
hold
test
on,
is just
hold
for
on.
genetics purposes,
Okay,
not to take the child away from the father who has taken care of him and have nourished that child all his life.
in the event that the child is 18 years or is not an adult and does not give consent to doing um, the DNA, how do you reconcile that?
Then
Because
it's
I wish
fine.
that a lawyer
Leave
is
it.
available tonight,
You leave it like that.
and the third party keeps saying that this is my child, and what the woman alluded to the claim of the third party.
As a matter of fact, I know a case like this. They
Okay,
they
so how
took
was it resolved?
the child said, I don't want to know. After my mother has passed on, in respect to my mother, whatever her wrong was, whatever I don't care. Well, I will not do that DNA test. in respect to my mother and my father who are taking care of me, I would not do it. And they respected the choice of that child.
Um, Tunde, for a child who is already 18 years, he's an adult now and
Yeah.
can take his own decision. What if somebody even says he's leaving his biological father and wanting to go adopt somebody else as his own father?
Father.
Yeah, it's his decision as long as you're an adult, you know. So I think what that child did, what the example Mars gave was actually right, you know. His mom is passed away, whatever she's done is, but so you coming from the blues, coming to want to come and claim a child, where have you been all this while when this man was taking care of the child? I've seen a case, yeah, I've seen a case where someone was going to get married to a lady who already had a child for somebody else who didn't care about the child. So what they did, they had to go to court for him to legally adopt that child. So tomorrow, if the man comes from nowhere and say, yes, this child is mine, he doesn't have the legal right over that child anymore. So that is another case that people can do, even when you know, because he knows this child is not his own, you know, so but he's getting married, so he had to go do this thing. So this is example of what people also do legally. Like you said, we wish a lawyer was there. I don't think I've seen any case on any law on the DNA. Maybe it could border on deceit. You know, maybe it could border on deceit or deception. There could be a judgment towards that angle.
Child
Yeah.
protection law.
But that's
Okay,
my own
let me
contribution.
come
Yeah.
in here a bit. Unfortunately, we don't have lawyers. It's so unfortunate, but on the ground today. So in terms of this particular issue, um, the the courts will usually consider the interest of the child. So if it's a child, Abdullah said it as it is, an adult has the right to say no, I'm not interested. You can't force anybody to get blood samples from them. But if it's a child and it's done and um it's there is discrepancy or someone else is the father, what the court does is that they consider the interests of the child in making decision. However, if for example that marriage is going to end as a result of that, um, then the court might usually consider the fact that the father, the legal father, is not the biological father in deciding how much contribution he needs to make into the child's life. But in all, they will try to make sure that the child's interest is protected. However, if the legal father wants to remain the father, I mean both legally and in most countries, legal father remains the father. They don't even care about the biological father. But if the legal father wants to be both legally the father and um, physically the father, they usually would still give him that priority because he was there right from time, especially if he has played this role. Then coming to the aspect of the law on this issue, the law does not consider it a criminal offense. At least I checked for Nigeria and the UK. It's not a criminal offense, but it's a civil offense, like a fraud. You know, it's treated like a fraud. And so the man who was cheated can ask for financial, redress to settle scores. But like I saw in most write-ups, they said no matter the amount that was paid, it never can equate or make up for the emotional damage that comes from such fraud.
And the
Then
waste of time.
yes, so coming back to what Abdul said, yes, if we are to do research, I'm suspecting we should just add a bit of time because of this topic, please, if you don't mind, this legal aspect. If we are to do research, and say who cheats more, maybe the man, but although that is now being queried because of the Equatorial Guinea saga where over 300 women were harassing one man. However, I'm saying it as a joke. I hope nobody takes me so seriously. However, we don't know who will win the battle between the men and the women in terms of um, um, infidelity. However, the truth remains that the possible impact from the woman's side is usually higher, mainly because she is carrying that egg that will bring about the baby. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So now let's compare the impact.
Sorry, can I just say,
Yeah,
if we were to do it,
yeah,
and this is me trying not to be biased, if we were to do that check, yeah, I would say women would cheat more, would be found more. And I tell you why. Because for women, the if a woman is cheating, is gonna cheat, yeah, they can cheat and forget about it. They can cheat and put it away in their mind, especially those that are in a marriage or in a relationship, because they might be doing it for something else. Do you get my point? Whereas men will be vested in it, chase the destiny, but women can do it. The only thing that catches them out, why they get caught out, is because of the pregnancy if they carry on. But I would say, especially in this day and age, that hang what's it called? They call it hanging up. Yeah, what thing they call them
mm,
again? You know what I'm talking
yeah,
about?
mm,
Hookup.
hook up.
Hookup is in trend. It is, you find it's prevalent. So I will take that, say that with caveat that you see that prevalent more in women nowadays. However, they are only caught when the outcome is a pregnancy, or maybe when this STD or something that
Yeah,
comes in. Yeah.
yeah. So true, but the impact is very bad. Just briefly about the impact. So I'm trying to think of something that looks similar to the damage this will cause. So imagine you marry a man and you know him as someone, is a good husband and everything, but you suddenly find out that this man knows and has a child for the past 15 years. Let's say you have been married for 18 years. You can imagine the emotional trauma that that will bring to you. You know, it's different if the man didn't know and then the woman just came from anywhere and say, this child is your child, and you start arguing. It's usually a bit more tolerable because it's not like the guy was hiding this thing. But when it's kept secret like that, it's emotionally damaging. So that can just help us understand how much trauma that a man goes through when he's been training another man's child. Sometimes it gets so bad that they begin to hate the child, except for very reasonable men who knows that, who are able to say no, it's not the child's fault, and some can even keep the child as their own just because it's not the child's fault and they've had that fatherly attachment to them. So
And it's
that's
vice
just
versa. When a man brings up a child on the woman and say, "This is my child. I've had the child." It can be nerve wracking for the woman as well.
yes, yes. That's
I
why I
married you. I
compared
thought I
them.
was, yes. So both
Yes.
of them are
Mm.
both ways. Cheating in whichever way, it's not a good thing. It leaves negative impact on both the victims and the affected part, the victims, and also the outcome. Who is the child? Because the child is who didn't ask for this. The child didn't ask to be born. It's now facing the backlash.
Once today on mute now, he wants to end his life.
Any
Because
other? No. We are still free. I'm done with the questions because we are past our this. But if any final thought from any of us before we call it a night, up to you. Want to say
Uh,
something?
yeah, I think just my final thoughts, people should be careful before you do DNA tests, because I'm going to warn the men folks, because it really creates distrust.
Mm.
Uh, I don't know. Some people say it should be part of the prenups. Before wedding, we are going to do DNA for any time. But if it is not, basically, yeah, which means you don't trust the woman. You don't. You're already suspicious. But I would also want to advise the men folks, maybe before you come to accuse a woman, probably you have to do this DNA secretly first. Then when you know you have your result at hand, you can now ask for open open DNA. Then I would also say to the women, if I were a woman, if a man comes to ask me for open DNA and I'm certain that this child is the man's son, I will gladly do it. I will gladly do it. But it's definitely going to break trust because it clearly shows the man doesn't trust. So the DNA issue, it's a very sensitive one, but I just say, especially the women folk, I beg, just try no carry another man, picking give another man. Easy. So I beg, if you know you've done because well on unfortunately, let me assume maybe these women don't really know if the child is not for the man. You understand? Because if you know you've done something with somebody else and the thing don't hook, you know what I'm saying? You should just come out clean from beginning to say, look, it don't happen, no. Or why would you even allow it hook safe?
Uh,
You get why would you allow? I feel you should prevent. There are so many ways of preventing that kind of mistake from happening. If you must go and collect by the side,
water.
so so yeah, we should just always come out clean when the mistake has happened.
So
Yes,
I'll
that.
do one of the answers. I don't think you asked, but let me just say one of the answers why they will not use condom is that it's sweeter. They
But
get
you see
carried
again,
away.
Abdul,
We are increasing the
he-
age limit now to
But put
25.
that game
We are
now.
increasing the
I
age limit now to
understand.
25.
Why? What you say?
well, you were trying to say something.
I
If the man wants to ask for DNA, for open DNA, he too should. He said he wants to come to equity, should come with 3 hands. He too should also be somebody that can beat his chest that, look, I'll be faithful to you and all of that. So,
but you see,
unfortunately, me that I'm at the receiving end, my own will show. But because your own is not showing, does not mean too that you too have not been a cheat.
yeah, I
So,
agree with you
so if
absolutely.
that happens,
No,
if
no, Tunde,
maybe
I think we are making a mistake here.
Uh,
We are not actually discussing infidelity.
that
We
I
are
okay,
discussing the bigger mountain, which is
the
a
fraud,
child as a
yes,
product of infidelity. So let me give you an example. Let's say the man has slept with 100 women and none got pregnant. Eh? And by the very special grace of whatever, I don't know what it's have, somehow he didn't get an STD, which I'm surprised. Do you know it doesn't have the same
don't be
impact?
surprised though. Somebody has done it too.
Just hold on. Do you know that it doesn't
That
have the
guy
same
did it too.
impact with
It took
the
Equatorial.
yeah, it doesn't have the same impact with the woman who slept with one man once and it produced a child who is not the man's child, and the man is training this child. Do you know that it doesn't have the same impact? And vice versa. The woman has slept with 100 men and somehow she just came one day and said, I've repented, I hate my life, I'll never do this again. But she survived it with no child and no HIV. Oh, sorry, no, sorry for using that, no STD. The psychological impact on the man is not as bad as, sorry, on the woman.
Man,
I'm mixing it up. It's not as bad as when the man now comes and says, I did it only once, so one day when I was drunk, but somehow I
see,
produced a child.
so even
So
buttress your
let's not
point.
mix it up.
Yeah, I get you. To even buttress your point, if a man has a child out of wedlock and you uh, and he brings the child, you cannot force the child, you cannot show the child to the woman that, look, take, this is my child. Start training, start training this child. The woman was from it's her own will to say yes, I will or not. I will take care of I will nurture this
It
child.
depends on the household, though.
So a man can bring a child and say, nurture this child forcefully. Will the man always be there?
And this
The
is where you
child.
see some children are being maltreated by their stepmother. So that's a different topic on its own, but it does happen a lot.
In that case, the man knows that, yeah, he's playing with the future of that child. If especially if you are bringing a child out of your way, how do you? Of course, your own sister. You should put out the wife in the position of your sister. Would you would you be happy that the husband of your sister just brings a man and say, your sister should be taking care of that child? No woman will be happy about that. So if I know that that woman will not be happy, why will I now bring that child to? I'm putting the child's life in risk, at risk. So so it's the man cannot commit is it maternal fraud? I'll call that now. But is this still paternal fraud? Is the fraud can only be committed by the woman. That's what we are discussing. We've reached
So I
19
would
But
minutes.
say
moderator, I wish to disagree. A man can also commit maternal fraud. No, no, no. Sorry, a man cannot commit maternal fraud.
maybe not trans man, maybe not trans man.
now, now I just read it again. A man can deceive that he doesn't have the child, but he cannot commit maternal fraud. You can't deceive the woman that
That's
the
it.
child is true. It's true.
You can't deceive the
Another thing
woman.
I would say is if all has been said and done, and this is the situation a woman finds herself in, it's a very hard place to be in. And I empathize with that woman, whoever she is out there. But just know that nothing is hidden under the sun. One day it's going to come out. And it's better you tell your story before you actually explain yourself. I don't know how you go about it. Sometimes you might need to get like counsel from maybe from a religious perspective, also from the court perspective, and then have a way of explaining it to the husband. But don't let that man carry on thinking that child is his. I think earlier you addressed that situation, the better for all parties. Explain it this, and if that person really loves you, I think they'll find it in you. And if they love that child, they would find it a way to, and it's better to talk about it from when the child is born. Don't leave it till when the child is old. Just explain this is situation. This is not your child. This is situation. Hospitals should not have to mandate people to do. I personally don't think they should force people to do DNA. It should be something that couples should decide: should we do it? Should we not do it? Having said that, if you've erred, is human to err, is human to err, is what is divine to
To
forgive, is
forgive.
divine. We'll leave that.
Maybe just my final thoughts before we go as well. Yeah. Sometimes some mistakes we may make is telling the original father, having a baby for you while in under man's home. That man, that guy would come for the baby one day. Will
Mm.
come for that child one day, no matter what. There will be, if even if his house, even if he's got his own family, one day he will just open up to do it. Say, I need to go get this child, because I've seen videos and cases where DNA was done because the man came for the child. The man came and said, look, yes, at some point this woman told me she was pregnant for me. This child is definitely mine. I want it. And they had to go to court, and the court requested for DNA to just done, and it definitely matched. So if any woman has done a mistake and you're choosing to keep the child for the man, for the other man who is not his own, please don't. There's no need telling the original father that, look, this thing what we do that day, it happened. No, just keep it to yourself. And like Maz has said, just try and come clean to the man you're giving that child to. Boss, you don't need to tell the other person, look, it has
And
happened.
don't go and do it again, because every time there's
Thank you.
always a repeat match. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. There are many things that are better left unsaid, safer for everyone, both the original and the, let me not say fake father. So it's better for peace to reign, for safety of life, and for sanity and good mental health. It's just best to keep some things unsaid. And this is where we wrap up the show tonight. Thank you, everyone that stayed up till this time. I can see about 5 people still hanging on, watching us live. We appreciate you. We promise to grace your screen next week again. See you in our next live. This is what we do every Friday, 9 p.m. Nigerian time. With me on the show tonight has been Abdul, Maz, Eito Terry, and Innocent, who the network young dove. My name is Tunde. See you next week. Thank you, everyone. Good night.